Hello and welcome to another Petersen Automotive Museum video on our YouTube channel. My name is Tiziano and this is quite unusual for me. Usually I film rather than being filmed, but today we talk about motorcycles and what I will consider the most beautiful bike ever made, the Ducati 996 and its sisters. Even if you don't like this bike, its importance in the two-wheel history is undeniable, and today we will find out why someone very comfortable behind the camera took the unexpected step to get in front to prove his point. So we're going to make a short introduction to the model, talk about this specific unit, and then we're going to talk about the 916 and its iterations throughout the years in the form of 748, 996 and 998. This motorcycle model debuted in 1993 as 916, and 10 years later, when production ended, was still the Superbike. What we are looking at here is what we call a picture vehicle, and it normally lives on the third floor of our ever so wonderful museum in the Cars, in Films and Television exhibition. Granted, this is not a car, it's a motorcycle. As I said before, a Ducati 996 featured in the movie Matrix Reloaded. Ducati is the Italian brand famous for producing twin-cylinder engines with desmodromic valve system in a L, not V configuration. Recently though, they added two more cylinders, somewhat betraying a long-standing Italian tradition of two-cylinder bikes like Moto Guzzi, Laverda, Moto Morini, that has as its core principle lightness before power. And now let's talk about the movie. In 1999, the world was shaken when The Matrix came to every theater near you. It was, and still is, an amazing action film, but also very sophisticated. It was inspired by Plato's Cave, an allegory used by the Greek philosopher Plato to help us overcome superficiality and materialism. Socrates, the main speaker, explains to Plato's brother Glaucon that we all resemble captives who are chained deep within a cavern, who do not yet realize that there is more to reality than the shadows they see against the wall. The movie starred Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, Hugo Weaving and Joe Pantoliano, and it's written and directed by the Wachowskis. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It was a box office hit. Based on that, what will Hollywood do? Bank on it, of course, and commission a sequel, except that in this case, they got carried away and they filmed the two sequels at the same time. The hype for many years was asphyxiating. Commercially, the movies were a success, but it's fair to say that the public was left dissatisfied. The CGI and cinematic feast was extraordinary, but honestly, it was impossible to make a movie better than the original. Only James Cameron with Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Francis Ford Coppola with The Godfather Part 2 managed to do that. And Spielberg with the third installment of Indiana Jones, maybe? Sorry, I don't know my Star Wars, but let me know in the comments if you disagree. Anyway, in Matrix Reloaded, Trinity, played by the ever so wonderful Carrie-Anne Moss, needs to save the Keymaker, played by Randall Duck Kim, a computer programmer that can create shortcut commands physically represented as keys, which can be used by other programs to gain quick access to various areas within the simulated reality of the Matrix. And what better way to protect your asset than rounding off a track on a Ducati against the traffic, up and down the freeway, in one of the most uncomfortable bikes ever made. Who cares? This bike is so beautiful that everything is forgiven. I won't play the scene for obvious copyright reasons, but a quick Google search will satisfy all your questions. It's a textbook lesson of product placement, brilliantly executed by Ducati, except, well, this is a 996. And by the time the limited edition tribute bike as seen in the movie was out, it was a 998. 996, 998, tomato, tomato, right? Not quite. Let's go back to where it all started and we will get to the numbers. Ducati was started in Bologna in 1926 by Antonio Cavalieri Ducati and his three sons, Adriano, Marcello and Bruno, as the Società Scientifica Radiobrevetti Ducati. Its early products were radios and cameras, and then, after the war, they started producing motorized two-wheelers. I won't bore you with the whole story. I could talk about Ducati until the end of time, but let's just skip to the 1980s when Ducati was floating in Chapter 11 land, or the Italian equivalent of it, and the Cagiva group bought the brand along with Husqvarna, Motomorini and MV Agusta. They gave a lifeline to the former two, killed the third, and put MV Agusta on ice. We're in 1985, and the first model of Ducati under the Cagiva reign is the Paso, a 750 engine bike that paved the way to a new era. Since the Panta model of the early 80s, Ducati consolidated and created few fundamentals. L, not twin configuration, fair, it was Taglioni engine design since the early 70s, replaced bevel drive with Kevlar belts, reinforced their belief in the desmodromic valve system instead of springs, and introduced with the 851 the Desmo 4, 4 valves per each cylinder. In 1987, the 851 replaced the Paso, and it was a game changer. The engine was now liquid-cooled, but unlike the Paso 750 and 906, it now featured electronic injection. And just to give you context, the Yamaha R1 was carbureted until 2001. Big difference. The 851 was designed by Pierre Terrablanche, who worked at the Cagiva Research Center under Massimo Tamburini, also known as the Michelangelo of motorcycle design. Terrablanche is somewhat a controversial figure. Many have not forgiven him for designing the 999, but I did, because he also gave us the 851, the Super Mono, and the Sport Classic. And I like the 999. Kill me in the comments if you must. And here we have the 888, the latest iteration of the 851 line. This is a late 80s design, and this was the motorcycle that, after a decade from Mike the Bike Halewood victory at the Isle of Man 1978 at TT, put Ducati back on the competitive map. Sure, they won other minor races in between, but nothing like Roche and Poland achieved in the early days of the World Superbike series. A couple of things are important to understand moving forward. Ducati is what it is today thanks to Claudio and Gianfranco Castiglioni. Cagiva stands for, or stood for, Castiglioni Giovanni Varese, and its symbol was an elephant. Apparently, they were considering killing Ducati, like they did with Motomorini, but they decided to keep it, and here we are today. The famous Rosso Ducati, it's in fact the red Cagiva. Before then, the Borgo Panigale bikes were rarely red. It's interesting how a rebrand created a legacy that never was before the mid-80s. Back to the story. So Terrablanche designed the Super Mono, and Massimo Tamburini, the Ta in Bimota, worked on the successor of the 888. In October 1993, the new benchmark for the Superbike sector was presented in Milan. The 916 was a visual earthquake. It was a revolutionary in so many aspects that still today, 31 and change years on, makes this bike still look fresh from almost every angle. And if you don't find it beautiful, we have numbers that prove that it was at least as successful. It won everything, everywhere it was entered. Fact. It brought a giant like Honda down on its knees and forced them to discard their four-cylinder engine in favor of a V2 in order to beat Ducati at their own game. Also, fact. But earlier on, Cagiva made an important decision. They raced in the prototype series now called MotoGP, but at the time known as the 500cc, and used the Ducati brand in the Superbike category, where motorcycles are a tuned version of the bikes available for sale to the public. Or at least that's the idea. And here we have a 1/12 scale model of what was the first bike to win the World Superbike title with Carl Fogarty in 1994. But why are we talking about the 916 when the bike in question is a 996? I can sense your impatience, so let's jump to it. 916 is the engine capacity. Aside from graphics and crucially the engine, on the naked eye, the bike is identical to a 748, the 996, and the 998. The design was so perfect that aside from a small change on the side fairings, the 998 is closed here, the bike went virtually unchanged for 10 years. People were buying this iteration even once the success of the 999 came out. They loved this. But all good things must come to an end. Ducati was sold by the Castiglioni brothers in 1996 to a Texan investment fund. And that's when the graphics were changed, but pretty much everything else stayed the same. Although some people may argue that quality has diminished, but hey, you can't agree with everyone, right? In 1999, the 996 replaced the 916 with, you guessed it, a bigger engine. But for today, we stop here. Thank you for watching part 1 of the story of the Ducati 996 feature in the Matrix Reloaded, and more generally of the 916 and its various iterations. Tune in back on the channel for part 2. In the meantime, like and subscribe. Ciao.